The capex spend, take a look at NVIDIA. Look at Broadcom, new record high. Where's the capex going?
The street is telling Google they want them to be aggressive. The reaction to the increase in capex spend, without question, the street believes that being a top 3 player in AI is an existential necessity for this stock. And that's what I think you're seeing playing out on the screen today. Had they just merely reaffirmed or said, yeah, things are good and we're going to leave things the way they are, I don't know that you get this upside result. The street really wants to see these guys spend as though they have to win the war, because quite frankly, to Malcolm's point, they do have to win the war.
Which is why I feel like, I want your take on this, the questions about return on investment I don't feel are all that relevant yet. We ask them because we feel compelled to ask it. If you're spending X, you expect something in return for it. Well, maybe it's impossible to quantify what the return on that investment is going to be for another 5 years. I don't know. But why do we ask that question? I think that's the right take. You spend it, the street is rewarding you for the spend, not the reward yet. It assumes you're going to get the reward.
I would argue there is a reward we're not paying enough attention to right now, which is the revenue per full-time employee. If you look at Microsoft having something like 15,000 layoffs in about 9 months, and the fact that they become so much more productive that their revenue per full-time employee has grown. These companies are all chasing NVIDIA right now. NVIDIA is approaching $4 million per employee is what they're actually seeing in revenue. And the closest person to that, I think, is Alphabet with like 2.2 million per employee following, and then the others behind it, Microsoft closer to the bottom, and then Amazon includes, factory workers, so we don't really know what their number looks like. But that is the return. These companies are able to do a lot more with less, and so they're basically saying to their employees, do the thing that you are best at, the thing that you are most capable of doing, and then let AI do the rest. And so we're going to use this as an internal productivity tool first, while we figure out how we're going to monetize this to the rest of the world 5 years from now. And so I think it's a both and, not a either or.
And when you think about where all of this is going, we can look at IBM and the shares being down today. They raised their forecast for their full year free cash flow, but revenue and gross margins in the software business were below. That almost seems like an afterthought in some respects. The stock had ripped into the number, that's number one. And then if you listen to the CEO of both that company and ServiceNow, how about this about the environment? Here's Arvind of IBM. I've turned from being, I used the word cautious optimism at the end of the first quarter. I would now turn my way all the way to optimism around the macro environment. That's IBM CEO. ServiceNow CEO, quote, I don't think the demand environment changed dramatically. I think the demand environment is wide open for AI innovation, i.e., we're going to continue spending. Others are going to continue spending. We're going to spend because the environment's better than maybe we thought it would be, and you have no choice.
We're going to move from the first half conversation around LLMs and things like Copilot all the way into hopefully, a consumer product, an agentic AI for the consumer or for the everyday employee at these companies and for customer service. And that's going to be, I think, the next conversation. It's already the current conversation in Silicon Valley, I mean on Wall Street. We're going to start to quantify the impact of agentic AI. And of course, like Alphabet's going to be a major player there. IBM is going to help companies implement this stuff. ServiceNow will be a beneficiary in 10 different ways. So I really think that as the conversation shifts into, look what Salesforce agents are doing, look what all of these companies are rolling out internally amongst their own employees. Why are they able to grow their revenue without adding the commensurate amount of headcount that we've seen in previous bull markets? That's going to be a really big piece of this. I think Microsoft has a really big role to play there. Obviously, my bet is Amazon is going to be agentic HQ for the consumer, having somebody help you shop or shop for you because you don't feel like it. Like, this is what's coming, and this is why the spend levels, I think, continue to be rewarded on Wall Street, even absent an uptick tomorrow in ROI. Street's willing to wait on the ROI piece because they see the revolution.
We, speaking of this conversation about AI. Steve Kovac has a news alert for us right in the heart of this conversation, Steve.
Yeah, that's right, Scott. So The Verge just reporting that OpenAI is planning to launch ChatGPT version 5. That's the next version from the current version 4. It's supposed to launch in August here, Scott. And we actually know a lot about what this is going to look like. It's not necessarily going to be a brand new version or new capabilities so much as a kind of melding together of all these disparate models that OpenAI already has. There was a tweet from Sam Altman a few months ago, I think it was back in February, we can show you, where he talked a little bit about what this is going to look like, how they're going to integrate their reasoning models and eventually stop selling some models separately and kind of jam it all together into this one big ChatGPT 5 model. Now, before that announcement, by the way, Scott, back in February, the expectation was this would be some kind of new super capable, a leap in advancement type of model. That seems to be taken back a little bit by that tweet from Altman a couple months ago, kind of resetting the expectations around this. Nowhere near that super intelligence or artificial general intelligence or whatever you want to call it that we've been talking about so much. And this is also happening as OpenAI and Microsoft are negotiating their agreement about what that AGI looks like in the future. And of course, Microsoft gets to tap into the technology before most other tech companies, Scott.
Hey, Steve, it's Josh Brown.
Yeah.
We're using the term reasoning a little bit tongue-in-cheek because
Right.
none of these models are carrying out anything that could scientifically be termed reasoning.
Sure.
They're all still word calculators. They are predicting probabilistically or statistically what the next likely word in a sentence should be based on, I guess, swallowing Reddit whole every day. But we're not at the reasoning stage. I think what people are excited about in ChatGPT version 5 is a lot of the things they're trying to do, moving, for example, turning tables into a graphic. Doesn't really work very well. It's a little bit of hallucinating when they try to do things like that. It really seems like this is more of an iterative update versus like, oh my God, my mind is blown. I can't believe it can do this. Is that the read you have on it?
Yeah, that is exactly the read I have. And like I said, before that February tweet from Altman, Josh, that was the expectation. You know, from version 3 to 4, that was a big leap. There was a lot more capabilities and things like that. They've really diminished the expectations around what version 5 is going to be able to do. It's going to be nowhere close to this AGI thing that we keep hearing Sam Altman and his peers and colleagues talk about so much. We're not even close to that right now. It is going to be interesting to see also just where Microsoft plays into that, and also how the plans change up too. There was some talk in that tweet. We only showed you a chunk of it, Josh, but they're going to be changing up who gets what in different paid versions of ChatGPT as well. So if this does in fact launch in August, so we've reached out to OpenAI, by the way, to find out if this is true. It'll be interesting to see how they shuffle up those paid plans, what they charge for what kind of features and so forth as well.
All right. Good stuff, Steve. Thanks very much for that update.